to another video, and today I am doing the BFF Family. Doing the house reno for them to go along with the makeover that I did in Cass, just like we did with the Pancake Family. And if you want to see the family makeover, I will add a notation above, so check that out after you watch this or before this, and come back to this if you want. So I tried to stick a little more with the general shape that the house already was. If you've seen the pancake video, I went kind of crazy. It took me forever, and I like totally changed the way that the house looks. And so this one, I thought I would challenge myself to try and stick a little more to the actual shape. And to me, I don't remember what they call this house, but to me it almost kind of looks like a trailer or modular home type, where it's very long and narrow. And I think that's kind of the general feel that these houses have in this neighborhood, is these starter homes feel very much like modular homes, or like almost like a trailer park to me. And I'm totally okay with that. So I thought I would challenge myself to kind of stick with that layout. And I did play around with kind of expanding like the shell of the house, and I just wasn't loving what I was seeing. So I undid everything and kind of stuck to the shell. So I did add like a little bit more of like a roof, because I did extend the bathroom inside. So there was one bedroom that was larger than everybody else's, and so I kind of took that space because there's 3 individuals living in this house and then a very tiny bathroom. So I took away from some of that 3rd bedroom to create a bigger bathroom that I thought was maybe a little more suitable for multiple individuals, because it isn't like a family, so you want a little bit of space to spread out. And then yeah, so the outside, I thought like this group of people is mostly techie, like they're nerds, they're into tech, and so I originally thought about going super modern with this, but then when I decided to keep it as more of like a trailer or modular home style, I toned that back and actually went for, I guess, maybe more of like a traditional look, but not like super kitschy or country. So I went with like some white trim and just changed the outside to like a nice green color. I kept like the siding, because that's something you would traditionally find on a modular home, is more of like a siding versus brick or wood or something like that. So yeah, so I just kind of lightened out the front, and I didn't do a ton of landscaping either. I added some extra bushes, but I kind of kept what they had. So for like layout and landscaping, I didn't change anything very drastically. This is also the first time I've ever used that kind of, I don't know, like the fence that's on the back porch there. That's the first time I've ever used that fencing, and I don't know, I kind of like it. I thought it gives you some privacy, but also you can see into it. So yeah, so inside, I went with more of like a traditional cabinet, so it's not anything too fancy or modern, and I ended up going with like a really big island because there's the space for it. Like some of these modular homes are very small and compact, and this one had a ton of room. So to kind of try and fill up a lot of that space, and also because again there's multiple people, so I thought it was kind of nice to have a lot of counter space, so that if like all 3 of them are home, there's like space for everybody. So yeah, so I went with these cupboards from, I think those ones are from Parenthood, and I was kind of trying to pick a color scheme. I get really stuck in trying to do like either black and white or blues, and so I did end up kind of going with like a black and teal-ish color in here, which isn't a big stray from how I normally design spaces, but those were the chairs that I liked, so that kind of dictated some of the design. And I would like to try some different like colors and designs, but in this one, it like this room in particular, it wasn't really anything completely different from what I'm used to. And then just that like space by the door, it took me a while to kind of figure out what I was going to do with that, so I left it pretty empty for now. And same thing with like the wall color. I don't know, I had a hard time picking a wall color because you have boys and girls living in this house, so I didn't want anything to be too masculine or too feminine. And I'm also trying to think of like, again, modular home style, what would that look like? So I tried a couple of things, and I do love the look of a tile backsplash in the kitchen. That's like one of my newest favorite design features, but I just couldn't get it to look the way that I wanted to in this place, so I went without that. And then, yeah, trying out different woods and stuff, I actually just ended up going with what was originally in the house. So for the foundations of the house, I didn't actually change a lot. I still feel like this took me forever to make though. Yeah, and here just trying to decide what to do with that entryway. And then I kind of started to place a couple of decor items, but I don't know, I tend to leave those to the end. I like to do the bulkier furniture items and building items without move objects on if possible. And then I'll come back and move things with the move objects on, just to kind of like tweak the placement of the rug and stuff like that, and then to place decor items. I just find that like, I don't know, sometimes things intersect, like they don't place properly for me like the way that I want them to with moved objects on when I'm placing just kind of like the foundations of everything. So that is how I tend to do that. And I also, because I've started using like the alt placement and like, you know, you like move the cabinets out of the way to place things, I get like really finicky on how I place things, and then if I have to move the actual furniture that's on, I have to move all those pieces again, so I try and leave them to the end. In this bathroom, I had kind of a hard time picking what I wanted to do. Again, I didn't want it to be too masculine, too feminine, but I wanted to play with some colors. So I don't normally tend to go with a colored floor. A lot of my bathrooms are a very neutral flooring with color on the walls, and so I actually ended up switching that up in this room. The wall has a bit of a pattern, but still it's black and white, and I threw the color on the floor. The curtain actually ended up being a bit of an inspiration for this that's on the shower, because I originally loved the idea of that shower, but I don't love as many of the curtains as I thought that I would when I got the pack. So I haven't used that shower a whole lot, so this was a good way to use that. I actually love the pattern of the tile on the wall. And like I said, so I kind of bumped into the other room to make this bathroom bigger, and then so I was able to add like some cabinet space, a couple of plants, and like a big jacuzzi tub. I find lately in all of my builds I have been adding a ton of plants, but I kind of had to rein myself in because I was like, that's not like the story I find for these people, is it like they're plant people, right? Like they're more into tech, they're young adults, you know, I'm thinking college if I had university, the university expansion. So I didn't want to go overboard with any of that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of the stuff I tend to do is for, like the builds I do are for adults or families. So there was a few things that I tried to put in and I was just like, I don't know, this is not what I would have had in my house in my early 20s kind of thing. So I had to switch that up a little bit. And I also didn't want this place to feel too like country. I wanted it to have a traditional feel, but also some modernism to it because they are young adults. So it's not like they would have super kitschy stuff generally. So, and I kind of wish that I had like board games or something to put on that living room table, because I was trying to create you know, with them being a group of people, being young adults, I imagine that they're going to have people over, they're gonna throw parties, like this is kind of their first place on their own. And so, yeah, I kind of wish I had more of like activity stuff to put on that table. So if there is like a stuff pack or an expansion pack or whatever that has something more like that, like board game type stuff, let me know in the comments down below. I would kind of think that maybe the Parenthood like would have, but I guess maybe that one's not like necessarily like family orientated, it's like parent orientated, I don't know. And then, so for this room, I imagined this one to be Summer's. So for her, we kind of classed her up a bit. I was thinking that she might be like a business major, you know, go into like a marketing role or something like that, something that does a lot of networking. She's very social. And the clothes that she had seemed almost more on like the preppy side. So I kind of tried to stick with that. It did kind of like a regal look. In my opinion. I did like the wallpaper that was on there actually already. I contemplated keeping that one or going with a new one, and I thought this was kind of like a compromise of like that pink color, but toning it down a little bit with the boards that are on the bottom. But yeah, so this room I made pretty girly and almost like I was taking almost kind of like Victorian feel as an inspiration and then trying to modernize that a little bit. And yeah, I didn't know what to put on that wall. That wall's a little bit empty. And then so for this room for Scott, this black wallpaper, I actually stumbled upon it while I was trying to find a wallpaper for Summer's room, and I thought it was kind of cool. Like it was dark and moody, but also had like that shimmer to it. I don't know, I really liked it, and so I threw it in his room, and I took a little bit of inspiration from the way that his room originally was. This almost feels a little punk to me, which is not what Travis is. He's like a computer nerd, but he had a lot of like blacks and reds in his room kind of before, so I kind of took some inspiration from that. And I think I ended up using a couple of items, like all the original items that were in the house I threw into the house inventory, and I tend to try and use stuff from the house inventory when I can because it's like what they already had for their style, but I think I put a lot of new items in this house. And then this would be Liberty's room. So I actually, like, when I did the makeover, I didn't really read what the family bio was, and in the family bio it says that Liberty is a little bit eccentric, and her room was full of different colors, and I guess that kind of explains why her wardrobe was a little out there as well. And so I could have gone a little bit crazier and eccentric with her wardrobe in her makeover. So for her, I did kind of like a cute, nerdy look in her makeover, and so I wanted to stick somewhat with that, but also bring in that eccentric nature into the room. And so yeah, I just went with like a ton of fun, bright colors and tried to make it look cohesive as well, but it's also a little bit eclectic and eccentric. And I had a hard time kind of, I guess, picking art for the wall because of the wallpaper, so I ended up doing it almost like a feature wall, and again just had a hard time figuring out what wall I wanted it to be on, how many walls I wanted it to be on, etc. And I don't know, I'm trying to find a room to use that really colorful peacock rug in because I love it, and I actually almost used it in this room, but I thought maybe it was a little bit much with everything else that was going on. But I will find a place to use that peacock rug, I swear. If you have used it in any specific build, style, room, etc., let me know down below, because I want to find a place to use that. I love it. And then kind of starting to work on the outside. I really try to stick to an area for video purposes, but normally when I build, I am all over the place because I'll just go through the buy mode, like the catalog, and find stuff that I like and find a place for it. So that has been a challenge for me on building these videos, is like sticking to a room and not bouncing back and forth. All right, and then so the outside, the shape of the deck was kind of throwing me off a little bit. So I ended up expanding it by a couple of tiles, just to give me some more room to actually create a seating area. And again, I wanted there to be lots of seating. I wanted this to be a social space for these young adults to have friends over, so they weren't limited to the seating of like just 3 people. I wanted them to have a lot of seating options for entertaining. And then, yeah, just picking outside items. There's just like a lot of items that I use that I didn't feel like was them personality-wise. So I ended up giving them a pool that they didn't have before. Again, you know, pool parties. This is a thing for young adults, so I wanted to give them that option. And I always have a hard time picking the tile that should be around the pool. I don't know, I feel like in previous games there was a lot of like big tile options, and I find that in this game a lot of the tile options are very small tiles, so they don't give me the look that I really want. So I started off with doing kind of a path to the pool, and then I do decide that I wanted to do another bit of entertaining space after I fixed all the other landscaping. Just moving bushes, because I had moved the walls around so many times, the bushes were all over the place. So I ended up creating another kind of like lower patio space out by the pool to have some chairs and a bar at, because in their kitchen, their like island quotes was more of a just a bar. It was like that really super long bar that's in the catalog, and so I wanted to give them another bar option for entertaining. So I definitely wanted entertaining to be a focus in this space, in like the whole house. And I had a hard time, like, my instinct is always to go with more neutral colors, but these are young adults, so I wanted there to be fun pops of color around the build. So yeah, just adding a bar there, and wall stereos so we can have some music going when we're entertaining. And then I really didn't know what to like fill the space with, so I ended up just sizing down the like telescope observatory thing, because they are kind of nerdy. That might be something that they're into. So, and then yeah, it's just like the final touches there. And I did end up going back and doing like curtains and some other small decor items that I just kind of felt I needed to add towards the end there. And again, I tend to find myself using a lot of the same curtains over, so I challenged myself to use some styles I don't normally use, but I just find that like so many of them look so old that I use the same ones over and over again, and I'm sure they're the same ones that you guys probably use too. So I made to challenge myself to try some different styles, like some more like super traditional or like antique styles, depending on the family, obviously, right? So, but yeah, that is it for this one. And again, if you want to check out the BFF makeover in CAS, I will link that above for you as well, and you can watch that next. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!